Hello and welcome to an Everyday Canines video. This is the Garden Agility series. In episode 6 we're going to be looking at German turns. Okay, so we're here in the garden again. We've got our garden set up. We've got 2 flower pots stacked as wings, and we've got our piece of insulation foam for pipe to act as our jump bar. Again, we're working on skills, so we don't need height, so that can be down on the ground, and we can use limited space that way. German turns. What are German turns? They're also known as push blinds, or backside blinds. There's a slight debate on when it's a German and when it's not a German, so we'll have a look at that in a minute. So your standard German is when your dog goes round the back, and instead of being like an S-line where you pick him up on the same arm, which we did in the previous episode, you're going to blind and pick him up on your off arm. So it could be, for instance, that I'm coming round here and I want my dog to go off in that direction or be on that arm, so I don't want them in nest line because that puts me behind. Okay, let's show what that looks like, Swift. Around, round, 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 round. Yay, good girl. So I picked up on my off arm, good girl. So that's what everybody talks about as being a German, is when you move forward the whole time through the exercise and end up this side of the jump. So I'm going to show that again. So Swift, if you can sit please. So as Swift is going round, I'm moving forward, and if this is a wing, I'm actually stepping Swift sit in front of the wing, ready to move on. So my line the whole way ideally is a straight one, because I would ideally be sending from here and picking up like this. So let's show it. Swift, come here. Ready? Come here. Good girl, you nearly had it. I didn't say it though. Round, 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 round. Good girl. So I'm on a straight line the whole time. That is your bog standard German turn. I don't know why it's called a German turn either. It's just what it's called. Probably it came from Germany originally. When is it not a German? Well, there's some debate that if you do the exercise and you're not actually going straight off, it's no longer a German. So in this case, if I do it this way, round, 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 and pick up, oh, there it is, still all the same moves. I'm still doing a blind over the jump, but good girl. But I'm not going I'm not going in a straight line past the jump wing. I'm not going parallel to the wing. I'm going along the face of the wing. So some then people call that a push blind because they say it's not a German, but then I've heard people call a push blind when you do a German. Basically it's around the back followed by a blind. Now I can hear people saying, I haven't done blinds, what's a blind, what's a blind? So let's just pause a moment, because I haven't got a video specifically on blinds. A blind is when your dog changes from one side to the other behind you. So a front cross is when you're changing sides and you can see them. They're in the front. A blind is when they're coming behind you. Swifty, sit. You can't see them and you're sending them behind to change sides. It means that you're ahead of the dog. So if we show that, so if you go round, and come this side of me. She says, what the heck are you doing, woman? Let's do it this way. Okay, so in this case, my dog is on my right, but I want to change sides so my dog ends up on my left as I go to my next obstacle. If I was doing it sit, if I was doing it as a front cross, it'd be like this. Which, to be honest with you, that makes me very dizzy. But with a blind, it's much simpler. You're calling the dog on this, and you change your arms to go here. Swift. Well, you went round the jump, but to be fair to her, I didn't tell her to go. Let's try that again and actually do it properly. You did do the blind though. Sit. blinds were a really hard thing to get with her. Go! Good girl. You can teach that in the garden just like I'm doing there. So you're releasing the dog on this arm and then dropping a toy or a ward with this arm to teach them to swap. And then obviously you do the reverse. I don't have a cue for that. I just perhaps say a name if I really want to make sure, but I'll rely on my body motion. So in this case it'd be pounding into the ground with the fist, means make sure you change your side. But some people do have a cue for that. If you haven't taught your blinds, you need to teach them before you can do your Germans. Though to be fair, you could theoretically teach them just as part of the German, because there are some systems out there, handling systems, that don't encourage blinds on the flat, which personally I think, I'm iffy about myself, because I think you need every tool you can possess to do courses, because judges are setting up new and complicated courses all the time. But if you haven't got that on the flat, you could theoretically teach the German purely as it is and teach it as with the blind there, even if you don't use the blind anywhere else. Nose. If you were doing that, I would possibly add a extra cue to it, just so they know what they're doing if they're not used to doing blinds elsewhere, just so they know it's not an S-line, because obviously that can look very similar to an S-line. That's another reason why, if you've done the S-line video, some people use two arms in the S-line, because they say that teacher stops the dog from accidentally doing it as a German. I think if you're clear about what you're doing with your arms, with this and this for the difference, they shouldn't do that, and I don't tend to have too many problems. But we're all different. I think at the most I would use a name to make sure I'd got her on the right side. When would you use a German versus an S-line? Well, I know. Well, sometimes it can be where, you're coming around this course. I want to go off there. I could do this as an S-line, but supposing the obstacle that I've got there is something that I want to be on the left-hand side of. It could be weaves, it could be a contact, it could be a dog walk. If I have to do that as an S-line, my dog's up the dog walk. Now I've got to rear cross the dog walk. Not all dogs like rear crossing the dog walk. Equally, if I have to rear cross, I'm automatically behind. If I can do this as a German and I can get ahead, I can already be racing down to the end of the dog walk. They're getting on with their job, I'm getting on with my job, I can be ahead. And when I'm handling, I always want to be ahead. I don't want to be stuck behind, because when you get stuck behind, that's when things go wrong. So I want to always be aiming to be able to get that little bit ahead. So for me, a German is another way of being able to get on with things and get on. And once they've got it, it's not an issue to change between the two, and it is another little thing to have in your toolbox ready for your handling. So that's really simple how you do it. There isn't really any complication to teaching it, because it's just a case of moving on from your S-line and teaching them that you drop the toy there instead. If I was doing it and the dog was really struggling with that, I would break it down a bit. Swift. So I'd go round, 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 and I'd step here. That fooled you, didn't it? Because I'm not in the right place. Come on. Good girl. Can you see that was like, what are you doing? Let's try that again. Okay, ready? Round, 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 round. Good girl. Keep coming, keep coming. And I would drop the toy earlier there to get them the idea in. If your dog was repeatedly coming in and trying to cut in for the S-line, then you hug this wing. You make sure they can't cut in and they have to go to this side. Go behind me. What's this? Good girl. But most dogs will pick that up really quick, especially if you've done blinds. And if you haven't done blinds, do a bit of blind work just for this. You'll have a lot of fun and you'll have a new skill when you come out of this lockdown. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the Everyday Canines YouTube channel and our Facebook page. We're on Instagram as well. And I hope to see you all again very, very soon.